listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome to Animal Rights on Pet Life Radio. This is your host, Tim Link, and I'm so excited you're with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. My guest today is Broadway movie and television star and author Gina Gershon. Gina's going to be talking to us today about her recent released book, In Search of Cleo, How I Found My Pussy and Lost My Mind. If that doesn't catch your attention, nothing will. So we got to talk to her about that. It's a great book, and we want to talk to her about Cleo, obviously, as well. So everybody stay tuned, hang tight. We'll be right back with Gina Gershon. Right after these messages, you're listening to Animal Rights on Pet Life Radio.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
Petco, where the pets go. Petco, where the pets go.
Pet Life Radio has tail-wagging, fur-flying, fabulous deals for our listeners from Petco. Get $6 off your order of $60 or more and up to 40% off the entire Petco site. That's right. But that's not all. Because you're a Pet Life Radio listener, you'll also get free shipping on your order of $49 or more. $6 off, up to 40% off, and free shipping. From Pet Life Radio and Petco. To get these awesome deals, go to PetcoDeals.com. That's PetcoDeals.com.
Petco, where the pets go.
I'm not much of a reader, but I do wish I were more well-read.
There are so many great books coming out. I wish I could find a way to keep up.
Audible.com makes it easy to stay well informed and catch up on your reading simply by listening. Audiobooks from Audible turn downtime into uptime. You'll be more productive and become well read.
Now I'm able to catch up on all the great books I've been wanting to read.
With Audible, I feel smarter.
Pet Life Radio listeners, try Audible.com now and get your first 30 days of Audible Listener Gold membership plan free. And get a free audiobook. Choose from over 100,000 titles. To get this great deal, go to audibledeals.com. That's audibledeals.com.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Animal Rights on Pet Life Radio. This is your host, Tim Link. And joining me now is actress and author Gina Gershon. Gina, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, and congratulations on the latest book.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about In Search of Cleo.
Well, it's basically the true story of when my cat was taken from my house, and he was missing for 3 days, and I had to search high and low the streets of LA for 2.5 months until I could find him. And all of the crazy people that I met along the way and who I enlisted to help me, friends, people who supposedly didn't even exist. I mean, who knows? You name it. I did everything I could to get my cat back.
And we won't actually tell the cliffhanger. Everybody's got to get the book and read it to find out how it all turned out.
Oh, yeah, that wouldn't be any fun.
That wouldn't be any fun at all. Now, I do have to admit, Gina, there's many, many reasons I wanted to talk to you, and I think the book's fabulous once again. But I know during your journey, you had a nice little conversation with Sonia, and unbeknownst to you, probably, I am, too, an animal communicator.
Really?
And, yes, and my specialty is missing animals. That's
wow.
I
would have called you, too, had I known.
I know. So now we know. Hopefully it never happens again. But
yeah, I never have to talk to you about that.
That's right. We'll talk about other things. But it did fascinate me about that part of it. So tell us a little bit about that journey and some of those characters you ran into in trying to find Cleo.
Oh, which ones? There were so many. I mean, it's 4:30 in the morning in LA when I went, cat hunting, basically from 4:30 to 7. And it's not like New York or, other cities. It's pretty deserted. LA is empty. And so the people that you meet between 4:30 and 7 in the morning aren't your typical people you normally meet otherwise. And there was guys from jail calling me. I met psychics that people said, oh, you have to talk to this person, Sonia the animal psychic, Arthur the paper man, this World War II vet who was pretty interesting, a whole bunch of other people who said, called me up and said, I have your cat. But as it turns out, they didn't have my cat. Lots of very nice people who were very, very helpful. And other people who just, kind of wanted to make a reward. So you learn a lot about humanity and what goes on. It was very interesting. It was a whole subculture of people that I hadn't encountered before.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating because as I mentioned, I do this work. This is probably the main part of what I do outside of the writing and the radio show. But you do find sort of one type of person or another, I tend to believe. It's the one person who believes that they have the best advice in the world, which probably is not the best advice in the world. And then you have the other one, which is the true colors of what I think humanity is all about, people really willing to help and go out of their way to help you out in a situation like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you learn who people, there are definitely animal people, and there are definitely people who are not animals who don't get it. They're just like, oh, just go out and get another cat. It's like, really? Go out and get another kid. I mean, it was very interesting to see. You could tell by their reaction to what I was going through, their own relationship with their pet.
Yeah, and I think it's a big part of it as well. It's not just another cat. Yes, you can adopt cats and find cats, etc. But Cleo's your baby, is your family.
Definitely.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about Cleo.
Cleo is, he's a very now spoiled, manipulative, very smart cat, but very sweet. I mean, really, he's, I'm sure everyone says, oh, my cat's not like a cat, he's like a human being, but he's pretty highly evolved with a very big personality, and he definitely runs the house. If he doesn't like what's going on, he lets you know it. So
you got your typical cat behavior there. I think that's the way to go about it. But I'm sure that is Cleo milking this for a little bit more than it's worth since this escapade happened? Oh, yeah. Well, he came back, and of course I was so happy that he came back. He, was completely spoiled. And then I think he realized, oh, yeah, I really should milk this for all it's worth, and he did. And now he's a monster. But a good monster, a monster that I love. Yes, right. A monster with the pulling the heartstrings there. Yeah. So then you go through this great escapade, or not so great escapade at the time, and I'm sure you go through all the emotions that happen when you miss a furry family member. But how do you turn that into a book? What made you decide to do that? Was it basically prodding by all your friends and family to do this, or was it something that you thought about on your own? Well, I'd say for a couple of years, I always have side projects. I think, okay, maybe one day I'll do this. And I certainly had a couple of strange cat stories. I thought, I'll just write a cat tales book, because I did have odd encounters with cats. And I thought, that could be funny short stories or interesting short stories. And the Cleo story, I was so devastated when I was going through it. It never even occurred to me to write about it. My friends were highly entertained by all these stories while I was completely devastated. And when I did my album, that I ended up calling In Search of Cleo only because it has nothing to do with my cat. It's because I kind of married, the theme of the book is really, at the end of the day, it's about what people will go through in order to find true love, and I happen to tell it through the story of a cat, but it's really no different than if you're looking for your partner in life, or if you found your person and then you lose them and you have to go out and find them again. So when I played the music, I told the story of Cleo, so I just called the album In Search of Cleo just because I thought it would be easier. And then after that, everyone kept saying, oh my God, no one believed the story. I'm like, I'm not making this up. And one thing led to another, and someone said, oh, you should write this as a single, for Kindle. And I thought it was an interesting idea. And the next thing I knew, I had a book deal. And someone said, can you write this as a book? And I was like, yeah, I guess. And so I just said, sure. I rose up to the challenge. I'd never done a book like this before. Definitely so. And now you can write another book about cats. That would be the key behind that. Just keep No. I think one book about a cat is plenty. Well, I interviewed I don't have another story. Hopefully I won't have another story. Well, the reason I say that is I interviewed a very well-known author. I'll leave his name unmarked on this interview, but he had a New York Times best-selling book about dogs, and he said he didn't want to be a dog writer, but somebody talked him into writing about another dog that he had encountered, and that became a New York Times bestseller. So nothing wrong with being a dog or a cat writer, that's for sure. I don't think of this as a dog or cat. It's certainly about my cat, but I feel like it's about so much more, Yeah, I don't think I could have written it if it was simply about my cat. Well, and I think it's the key thing behind it is because, okay, it's cat, and if you love cats or animals in general, you're going to be definitely have an appeal towards the book. Your escapades and all this stuff that you go through and the emotions and everything that goes through in the book definitely shine. But also, as you mentioned, those parallels, how it parallels in life and some of the challenges that you were going through in life, some personal relationships and family situations that you were going through that paralleled beautifully into a nice book that's fun, humorous, heartfelt, and actually has those underlying themes to it as well. So you did a great job on that. Well,
Thank you.
We're going to come to a quick commercial break. We'll come back with Gina Gershon, talk to her a little bit more about her book and some of the other wonderful activities she has going on. So everybody stay tuned. We'll continue our conversation right after these messages. You're listening to Animal Rights on Pet Life Radio.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
Introducing the new Bret Michaels Pets Rock collection exclusively at PetSmart. I created it for the pets that rock your world.
Shop the Bret Michaels Pets Rock collection and celebrate PetSmart's 25th anniversary with up to 25% off thousands of items on the PetSmart site. Plus free shipping on orders of $49 or more. Go to PetSmartDeal.com. That's PetSmartDeal.com. PetSmartDeal.com.
Dyson.
The new Dyson Animal Vacs are powerful bagless upright vacuums for homes with pets. Air muscle and radio root cyclone technology generates the strongest suction power to powerfully remove dust, dirt, and pet hair from the home or car. To order your Dyson Animal Vac, go to DysonDeals.com. DysonDeals.com to order your Dyson Animal Vac today.
Dyson. Music to your ears.
Hi, I'm Lisa Smith-Putnam, the host of the new and exciting show, Your Pets, My Dogs, here on Pet Life Radio. Your Pets, My Dogs will feature celebrity interviews, we'll talk to everyday pet owners, and more. Listen, I am here to entertain you each and every week, right here on Pet Life Radio. Again, that's Your Pets, My Dogs. I'm your host, Lisa Smith-Putnam. Your Pets, My Dogs. Your Pets, My Dogs.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Animal Rights on Pet Life Radio. You're listening to Tim Link. Thanks for coming on board with us today and listening. We've got author and actress Gina Gershon on the line with us today, and we're talking to her about her latest book, In Search of Cleo. And Gina, I want to talk to you a little bit more about after putting the book together and having it out there. Is there something you've learned the most from putting the book out, as far as once you were done, you were kind of surprised about any part of writing it or putting the book together? You go into the idea of writing the book, putting the theme together, but once you're done, it takes on this new life, or it has a surprise part that you'd sort of forgotten about, or something that popped into your forefront. It's like, I knew it was going to be a good book, but I knew it was going to turn into this or have these underlying feelings.
Yeah. I think the thing that surprised me so much, because I had to not only tell the Cleo stories, I kind of told memories about other strange cat stories along the way. These are stories that I just know because I've lived them, and then once you start putting them down, after a while I thought, oh my God, people are going to think I'm insane. I mean, they seem so normal when I'm going through them, but like looking at them objectively, I could see how people are skeptical, because I, in fact, am a skeptical person as well. And one strange thing after the other, I'm sure my friend read it and she was just like, oh my gosh, she goes, okay, you just tell me you made some of this up. I said, she asked me about one part in particular. I said, no, it's totally true. I said, the weirder this stuff is, the truer it is. And she was like, okay, well, you need to check you in somewhere. But, I learned truth is stranger than fiction, and that's just the truth,
Yeah, I always say when we're talking about comedy or humor in particular, it's the real life things that you go through that people can relate to and actually get humor from. And I think it's the same thing when you're putting together a book. It's things that they can't believe is happening, but yet they can sort of relate to it as well.
Well, listen, some of the best comedy, it comes from the most painful place. I mean, look at the great comics. They're miserable. They've gone through horrible times for the most part. I think had this not been so horrible and tragic at the moment and painful to go through, I don't think I would have gone through it, and it just wouldn't have seemed so insane. I wouldn't have, desperate times call for desperate measures, and, the more willing you are to go out there, I think the stranger stuff is going to come to you. If you're open to it.
Absolutely.
And I was open to anything.
That's right, because you needed Cleo back, and that's the key.
I wanted my baby back.
That's right. Once our readers pick up a copy of the book, In Search of Cleo, what would you hope they would take away from it after reading the book?
Oh, to make sure they know who's taking care of their animal when they go away. Not someone who takes them to dog groomers. I would hope that they came, one of the things that I came out of the story with when I was living it. It made me a little bit less judgmental. I feel like there were so many people that I thought were so strange that in my normal life I would never actually speak to, and I probably wouldn't. And they ended up being such great people. So I learned not to judge a book by its cover, you know?
Exactly.
And people are surprising in their humanity.
Yeah, I do. As I mentioned before, I think at times like these, the people that understand what you're going through and what Cleo was going through step up and show their true colors, which hopefully in most cases it's a very positive sign behind them.
Yeah, well, especially like in LA, it's such a car culture, and everyone's so in their own little world that it's almost like these other people don't even exist. And when all of a sudden you have to encounter these different types of people that you don't normally encounter, it's really interesting. It's good to get out in the world and learn a little bit, get out of your comfort zone a bit.
That's right. You're probably the first person in your neighborhood to actually know your neighbors, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't in my neighborhood.
Well, that's true.
It's like, who is this girl in our neighborhood? Yeah, I mean, LA, sometimes you know your neighbors, but not as well as in New York. You don't really have neighborhoods, you know, because people don't really walk. It's not a walking culture. You're just kind of in your car, and people don't talk to each other. Although that's not true. When I lived down at the beach, people knew each other. It was a little bit more neighborhood-like.
Yeah, because you're getting out and about. Sure. Now, this is not your first book out there, obviously. It's you're the co-author of a children's book as well, Camp Creepy Time.
Mm-hmm. I wrote that with my brother a couple of years ago. They called it a young adult book, but it was really, for like 8 years old and up, because I know a lot of adults who really liked it.
Exactly. Now, how was the process of writing this book compared to putting together a young adult or children's book?
Well, it was totally different. I mean, this was basically a true story. So I wasn't trying to write this per se. I was just trying to retell the story, just kind of try to keep it in my voice as if you were sitting there in the room with me and I was telling you this crazy story. Where, Camp Creepy Time was completely fictitious, so we had to really make it all up.
Yeah, it's...
that was a big difference. And, it had to be written. And a lot of that was more to me in my brother's voice, the main character, and that really I wanted to keep it in his voice because it was so much a part of him. So it was just a different process. It was more of structure and protagonist and antagonist. I mean, like classical, more like classic, like kind of literary things I had to think of. Where in this, I just wanted to tell a story. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have to think about that stuff.
Right. Exactly.
So it was more like a memory surge. It's more like I'd have to sit down and think, okay, how do I actually put this in words? And I just tried to, if I could have, and someone actually told me the other day, I actually could have, like, dictated the whole thing and just had someone else write it down, or there's those computers that everyone could do that. I probably should have just done that. It would have been just as easy. It probably would have been easier, by the way.
Yeah, it would have been more difficult on your editor probably, but a lot easier on you, I think was the way it goes. I want to learn a little bit more about some of the other projects you have going on. I notice you're the founding member of the New York City theater group Naked Angels. So tell us a little bit about that group and some of the things you have going on there.
Well, that started, many years ago, almost 25 years ago, when none of us were working. It's a great group of people, of actors, writers, and directors, and we just wanted to work. So we just said, well, let's just put on shows. We have writers, we have actors, and it was very lucky. We happened to have a great group of people. John Robin Bates, Kenny Lonergan, Frank Puglisi, writers who are all over Broadway now. Joe Mantello, who's like the king of Broadway, was one of our actors, directors. Actors, we had, so many people. Me and Fisher Stevens and Matthew Broderick and Marissa Tomei and Nancy Travis. It went on, and none of us were really working yet, so it was kind of an interesting time. And what's going on now? I'm not working with them at this moment. Not that I'm not involved, but I feel dumb. There's always something going on, but I'm not really sure what, because I've been out working and doing the books. I've been a little bit out of touch.
Yeah, that's okay. And everybody can definitely look it up online, find out more about the projects and what's going on with the theater group. Well, tell us, listeners, how they can find out more about you, all your happenings, and obviously pick up a copy of the book In Search of Cleo.
Well, you can always go onto my website. I'm trying to keep it a little bit better, or on my Twitter site. I kind of have everything going on with those things. Also, I want to say that the book is also, there's an audio version where I narrate the whole book, and me and Christian McBride, who's an incredible bass player, obviously. He plays bass and I play Jew's harp, so we kind of back up the story with music, which is kind of how it was originally told. So I'm quite fond of it. And what else? Oh, I don't know. I always have all sorts of things going on.
That's okay. If any social media, Facebook or anywhere we can keep track of you?
Twitter.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Real Gina Gershon, not the fake Gina
Not
Gershon.
The fake one, get the real
At realginagershon.com. Yeah, I usually have stuff going on there. And the website, ginagershon.com, has all the outlets and where you can get the book, where you can get the audio, what's going on. As long as someone's keeping it up, that's where you can find out.
There you go. So everybody check that out. Go on to Twitter. Pick up a copy of the audiobook and the hardback book. It's the best way to go. See the best of both worlds. Gina, thanks for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it. Good luck with everything. Have fun on the tour, and we'll be looking forward to the next cat book down the road.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. You've been listening to the Animal Rights Show on Pet Life Radio. Everybody, pick up a copy of Gina Gershon's book, In Search of Cleo, How I Found My Pussy and Lost My Mind. Great book, great read. Pick up the audiobook as well. So we're coming to the end of the show today. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to Animal Rights on Pet Life Radio. I'd also like to thank our sponsors and producers for making the show happen. To find out more about me, Tim Link, and the other guests I've interviewed on the Animal Rights Show and the stories in my blog, you can go to Pet Life Radio. That's PetLifeRadio.com. Click on the Animal Rights icon, and you can download the episodes and listen and read to your leisure. And while you're there, be sure to check out all the other hosts and wonderful shows on Pet Life Radio. It's PetLifeRadio.com. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for the show, please email me. You can email me at tim@PetLifeRadio.com. That's tim@PetLifeRadio.com. And I'll be glad to answer your questions, entertain your comments, and bring on the people you want to hear most onto the show. So until next time, write a great story about the animals in your life. Share it in a blog, article, or in a book. And who knows, you may be the next guest on Animal Rights on Pet Life Radio.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.